Welcome to this week's version of Irish Football Weekly. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We're here on the Grueling Truth. My name is Josh Benjamin, one of the hosts. The other host, Tony Hunter, who's a former Irish tight end from 79 to 83, or 82, excuse me. He was drafted in 83, NFL draft by the Buffalo Bills. Tony, how's it going today, my friend?
Oh, everything's going just lovely. Lovely, Josh. It's been a great Thanksgiving weekend so far, and as a matter of fact, I think Miami just handed us an early Christmas present by going up to Pittsburgh and laying an egg, and really ranked number 2 in the college football rankings. You know, I think they'll drop out of the top 10 after losing to Pittsburgh today. And with us sitting at number 8, Miami still has to play number 3, Clemson. So we're still in this college football playoff talk. So I'm very, very happy with what's been going on here lately.
I agree. With all what you just said. So, I don't know if many of you have heard, Miami did lose to Pittsburgh, up at Pittsburgh today.
That's
so that's that was a huge loss by Miami. Miami were really, they were sitting in the driver's seat at number 2 and possibly playing for a national championship, and they could have possibly won it. But, they went into Pittsburgh and laid an egg. And I think as a result of that, we'll see, but I think they're going to drop out of the top 10 because of that. Yeah, and a couple things come to mind with that whole situation. So it would be very interesting if South Carolina beats Clemson, and then Clemson and Miami play, and then whoever, knocks each other out there. That'd be interesting to see where they put both of them if both of them lose this week. And,
exactly.
And so we got, one situation that would definitely help the Irish with that. Wisconsin would obviously, if they lose, that would definitely help as well. So some very enticing matchups and different games going on this weekend that could kind of change around, which it already has, I'm assuming, will change the college playoff championship. So let's just jump right in here real quick, Tony. We got the Irish coming up playing Stanford, out west, and they're ranked number 21, coached very, very well. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, Stanford's always a big game. 2 very well-respected schools, Notre Dame and Stanford, both academically and athletically, great football programs. I think Stanford, Notre Dame leads the series. I think it's 19-12 overall. We've played 31 times. But I think Stanford has actually won the last 2 times. They beat us out there in 2015, I believe it was. What was it, 38-36, where Stanford beat us in 2015. And 17-10 last year they beat us at home. So it's time for Notre Dame to turn this thing around. We definitely don't want to make a tradition of Stanford beating Notre Dame. We definitely can't have that. So it's time for Notre Dame to turn this thing around and get this win this weekend, because we have everything to play for right about now.
Yeah, absolutely. And they head out west, like we mentioned before, play Stanford. It's a night game, so that's a 8 o'clock start. It'll be on NBC. So it's 8 o'clock start for the Eastern Standard Time, I should say, so 5 o'clock out Pacific. But playing night games, it's always a fun match to do, and always fun to be a part of that showtime. Everyone gets to watch you type of thing. And Tony, how many games did you play that were maybe either under the lights per se when it comes to college football, or big games? I'm sure quite a few.
Oh yeah, quite a few games. I can remember playing Penn State at night at Notre Dame, where the lights were brought in, and I think that was one of the first times that we played under the lights at Notre Dame. It was a big deal made out of that. And I believe we beat Penn State. Night games are great. I mean, you're as far as college football is concerned, you're in prime time. You're one of the few games still being played. Everybody's watching, and it's a good time. It's a good time to shine. It's a good time to win, and I always look forward to those type games.
I would also say if those situations happen that we mentioned earlier about Miami and Clemson, and then a couple other teams fall like Wisconsin, and this game would be a very well watched game, regardless of if that happens. But even more so if those tend to go the way that we want them to go as an Irish football fan. So.
Absolutely, Josh. Absolutely. I think Notre Dame just needs to win out. We need to beat Stanford, and like I said, Miami and Clemson still needs to play, and Miami's the wild card right now. They seem to play according to their competition. I hadn't seen them play the type of football that they played against Notre Dame. I mean, they look like the Miami teams of old with speed and athletes and playing physical against Notre Dame. I had seen them play maybe twice this year, and they didn't look like what they looked like against Notre Dame. Now, when they play against Clemson, I have a sneaking suspicion that same Miami team is going to show up. So if they beat Clemson, man, that could throw things in a free-for-all as far as the college football's top 5, top 10, or whatever. And Notre Dame could really be sitting in a nice position to possibly come out of this thing if we beat Stanford in the top 5. In the top 5, looking at a top 4 position. We just need to win out. It's important, and we need to play like it's important.
Yeah, and just a lot of good possibilities for this team and where they're going to end up. And, this game against Stanford is a huge game, obviously, because it's the next one. It's the last regular season game for the Irish until they get their bowl bid and get that squared away. Hopefully it's in the college football playoff. But
right.
But they go up against a really good team in terms of running the football. Mr. Love out there is doing some damage to some teams, and he's in that Heisman talk, and I would say that's got to be the focal point of the defense this week.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have to stop that run, that Stanford run. Man, Stanford had a really good running back last year. That's doing well in the NFL, and all of a sudden they have one of the top backs in the country again this year. So it's going to be a big job for our defense. We need to rebound anyway defensively. We have been playing some really good football up until that Miami game. And I'm hoping to see us snap back as a defense and start playing, looking like a talented, physical Notre Dame defense that we had been looking like up until that Miami game.
I would say that Miami game kind of hurt their pride and a little confidence after that game, and then kind of went into that Navy game last week, which they won 24-17, probably closer than we liked, but Navy obviously runs the ball quite a bit, and they like to use up that clock quite a bit. So that's I would say those are two things that were determinations of how that game went a little bit. But I think the confidence needs to come back, and hopefully they got that swagger back during the practice this week. Coach Kelly and those guys pouring out confidence to those guys for this week.
Yeah, when you get late in the season, as we are right now, and I think Notre Dame's going through the injury bug situation. A lot of guys are nicked up right now, and we're just trying to finish the season strong. But everybody's nicked up in college football. You know, it's been a long season for everybody. So, you know, I just hope we get healthy enough to finish strong, beat Stanford, and then we'll get some time to rest before the playoffs and before the bowl games, and we can go in and be rested and win a big bowl game or win a big playoff game, and go ahead and cap this season off the way it should be capped off with wins, and because it's really, quite frankly, it's been a pleasant surprise the way we've played this year based on, I mean, after coming off of last year's really disappointing season, we bounced back this year, and we're starting to play Notre Dame football again, and it's good to see it, to be honest.
And it's funny you said that because I almost put up on our Facebook page. By the way, listeners, we do have a Facebook page, Irish Football Weekly, out there that we post our shows, and then, you know, we talk a little bit of football on there. So definitely go on and like and follow our Facebook page. But I almost put a poll question on there, which I think I'm still going to do, Tony. And the question is going to be worded something like this. You know, before the season, how many of you thought the Irish would be competing for their 10th win of the year?
Wow.
I don't know if, I mean, cause, you know, they're 9-2 right now, getting ready to play Stanford tomorrow out there, and just wondering how many people honestly think that they knew or had a feeling that they would, you know, go for that 10th win in this final.
You know, I mean, that's a great question, Josh, and I was really uncertain coming into this season because of all the transition that we've had to the coaching staff, the new players, the new recruits that were coming in, and I just wasn't sure how this thing would pan out. But you know, you have to give Coach Kelly some credit because the job that he did as far as bringing in the new offensive and defensive coordinators, special teams, I mean, we look totally different than we did last year. And so you have to give Brian Kelly a lot of credit for that.
Absolutely. And, yeah, like I said, I'm going to throw that question out there anyway. And those listeners listening right now, they've got to be thinking, or I would say those people last year that were wanting probably Kelly out, or they thought that he might leave or whatever, and coming in now and doing this, I think he's bought some time, at least another year, I would think.
I would think so.
Yeah. So.
And I mean, if we finish strong, Jeff, it would really help us as far as recruiting, and maybe we can get some of these 5-star recruits that we used to get. We used to get more of them, and with the winning, it kind of helps as far as that's concerned. The kind of school that Notre Dame is, both academically and football-wise, man, with us winning, we can attract these 5-star type guys because of all the things that Notre Dame has to offer, the exposure that you receive at Notre Dame. You know, we can start attracting more top 5 or 5-star talent, and man, we could get our program back where it belongs, at the very top, year in and year out.
I agree, definitely. And to kind of go off that a little bit, there's a couple different areas of this football team right now that are getting called as finalists for certain end-of-the-year trophies and end-of-the-year awards, which I'm going to kind of mention right now. So Quentin Wilson, one of the guards, interior lineman for the Irish, is one of the Outland Trophy finalists, which is for the Outstanding Interior Lineman Award. He hasn't all year given up a sack or even a QB hit all season, and that's outstanding. He's done a very nice job. He's ranked the highest guard by Pro Football Focus at this point, and it's not even close. So Quentin Nelson's done a heck of a job this year so far.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a first rounder to me. Sounds like a first rounder, and maybe a couple guys from that offensive line end up being drafted in the first round.
I'm glad you said that as well, because the whole offensive line, the unit, is up for the Joe Moore award as a finalist, and that goes to the whole offensive line and how they've carried themselves, and whether it's,
they should win it, Josh. Based on what I've seen from offensive lines this year, I think they should win that award.
I have no doubt that they will win that, and like you said, they should, and I agree with you there. And that goes up with some certain statistics such as yards per game, rushing yards per game, sacks, allowed, and all those good things. But so they're up for a finalist award. And then Drew Tranquill, it's a nice surprise. Danny Werfel award finalist, which Danny Werfel played quarterback for Florida years back when I was in high school, and that involves, that award is given to a student athlete, football player, obviously, community service with athletic and academic achievements, and so he's doing on the field and off the field type of thing with when it comes to being a great football player, being great in the classroom, and then of course doing his due when it comes to giving back to the community. So Drew Tranquill is doing an awesome job of being a mentor and a role model for those guys up there.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think it's going to come down. I think, man, if we finish strong, I think a lot of the guys will be up for some great awards. I'm hoping Josh Adams is healthy again and will finish strong these last couple games. He's had such an unbelievable season, and he's kind of dropped off the last couple games. I believe he's nicked a little bit. I believe he's injured. But I'd like to see him finish strong and finish the season as an All-American. And who knows? He may be looking at a first-day NFL draft pick. But he's had an outstanding year, and I'd like to see him finish strong.
Yeah, and that'd be really, really neat to see him finish the Stanford game and then whatever bowl game or games possibly that we play. That would be really awesome to kind of have him finish that well and win. Like we said at the beginning of the season, we weren't sure how this team was going to be, and he was included with that. And so he's been a very nice compliment to that whole offense along with that offensive line. So.
Yeah, I think St. Brown as a receiver is going to be out. We have a few guys that are nicked up right now, and I've been hearing that St. Brown may not play at receiver this year, but we have some other young guys that are stepping up and playing good football for us at receiver. Kevin Stephenson, I really like him. Stephenson, he's playing good football, and with St. Brown being down, he's going to have to Stephenson, that is. He's going to have to step it up again this weekend. And he seems like the type of guy that likes to be the go-to guy. And he likes the lights, the prime time. And this will give him an opportunity to show that. But he appears to me to like it in the spotlight like that. So.
Well, what's good is he's definitely, and when I mean him, I mean Kevin, he's definitely stepped up the last couple weeks, like you said. And last week he was the leading receiver with 5 catches and 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it seems like Brandon's got on the page with him quite a bit. And
very talented football player, Stephenson. I've always liked him.
So I think you're completely correct when it comes to that, and just need those guys to continue to push through. I think finish strong is the motto, like we mentioned on Facebook, by the way. Any of you listeners out there want to add us on Facebook, we definitely talk Irish football. We talk with a bunch of fans and alum on there as well. But I think finish strong is the motto that we discussed a little bit on there, and I think it's got to be seniors that gotta push, gotta be the stakeholders that take them to the top or take them as close as they can when it comes to those rankings and finishing against Stanford, and then who knows what's going to happen. But I think that going out there and making a statement, and I know we're going to get the Irish prediction time here soon, but, man, it would be really, really nice to get this game out of.
Well, there's a lot right now that should motivate Notre Dame. There's a lot that should motivate Notre Dame. Not losing to Stanford for 3 years in a row, making it a tradition of Stanford beating Notre Dame. We want to avoid that. And the other motivation is pretty clear, that if we win out, there's a lot of football left to be played and a lot of things that could happen in that college football ranking, and we very well still could be playing for a national championship if we just take care of our business.
Yeah, I agree. And let's start talking about what's coming up here on the next segment, Tony, if you don't mind, is the 3 toughest picks, which we should seriously just name it the Tony segment because
this year anyway.
Well, we'll see about next year. That's coming before we know it. But you're 16-8 this year, Tony, and I'm 11-13, which is terrible. But we do have 3 really good games this week, and I thought that we could put our 2 cents in for them. So the one that's standing out the most is number 1, Alabama goes to number 6, Auburn. As an Irish fan, we in my opinion, I think we want Alabama to win, so Auburn doesn't push that envelope to try to get in the top 4. But
right.
But what are your thoughts on this game? Who's going to win? Who do you pick to win? I should say.
You know, Alabama just seems to come up with so many good football players, so many 5-star high school recruits that it's tough for anybody else to compete against them. But I know they're going to be going down. They're going to be going into Auburn. Auburn has a lot of good football players. They take football very seriously there. I've had a couple teammates of mine that played for Auburn. Joe Cribbs when I was in Buffalo, Byron Franklin. Both those guys played at Auburn. And I know the type of attitude that those guys have. They take football really seriously. So Auburn is definitely going to come to play, no question about that. But I'll take Alabama because Alabama has a lot on the line, and they just have so many good football players, so many 5-star high school recruits. I just think they'll be a little too much for Auburn.
Yeah, I think so. I think Alabama just seems to produce, whether they're highly touted recruits or if they're, just under, 4-star athlete possibly, or somebody comes in, they just seem to develop them into great players and
right
good teams. So I'm going to pick Alabama as well. The next game, it's a state rivalry, just like the Alabama-Auburn game. It's number 13 Washington State goes and plays number 17 Washington. So 2 good coaches there, Coach Leach and my mind's drawing a blank here. He coached at Boise State, but 2 good coaches and 2 good teams, number 13 and 17. Who you got, Tony?
Where's that at? Where's that being played at?
That's going to be at Washington this time.
That's at UW. Okay. I haven't had a chance to see those 2 teams play very much this year, but my good friend and former Notre Dame teammate, Phil Carter, seems to like the Huskies this year. So I'm going to go with UW. I'm going to go with Washington. At home. At home.
And they're coached by Chris Peterson, by the way. I totally blanked that. But he's at Boise State, and now he's at Washington doing some really good things as well.
Okay.
Washington. I'm gonna choose Washington State for whatever reason. Coach Leach has some kind of push on me, I guess, when it comes to picking his teams. I've picked several in the past, and he's with Texas Tech and them before. And so I saw a video on Facebook of him talking about marriage, Tony, and it's quite humorous. It was very funny. If you get a chance, take some time and try to find that and share it out there. But it's pretty funny with what he says, and he's very serious when he says it. And it's just I'm a guy that likes sarcasm, and I think he was being very sarcastic, but it was very true at the same time. So,
that sounds interesting, Josh. I may have to check that out.
Yeah. So anyway, listeners are probably like, all right, move on. So I'm going to take Washington State, and we're going to go to the last game, which is the game we kind of referred to a little bit at the beginning of this show. Number 3 Clemson goes to number 24 South Carolina. So a huge matchup for Clemson to get through this game and win, but it's also if they happen to not win and the Gamecocks do some damage, it opens up the door for some other teams such as the Irish. So number 3 Clemson at number 24 South Carolina. Tony, who you got?
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. I went into South Carolina when I was at Notre Dame, and George Rogers was a Heisman Trophy candidate running back for South Carolina. They take football really seriously down there. And I think we won that game, but we had a really, really good defense that year, and they were able to stop George Rogers. But I just know Clemson's going to have their hands full going into South Carolina to play, but I think they'll be well aware of that because being in the South and playing South Carolina, I'm going to say Clemson's going to be ready. They know they have a lot at stake. They know they have Miami coming up after that. I think they'll be ready to take that one. And whether or not they'll be healthy after that physical game to play Miami that next week is yet to be seen. But I'm going to take Clemson to beat South Carolina.
All right, so you take the Tigers, and just because I want them to lose, I'm going to take South Carolina. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we sure hope so. And
yeah.
Notre Dame in a good spot.
That would really stir things up.
Yes, it would, and so that would definitely help the Irish playoff picture after they take care of business against the Stanford guys out there. But so that's the conclusion of our 3 toughest picks segment. Let's talk about what we like to talk about best, which is Irish prediction. So they're going out playing number 21 Stanford. They got a great running back, great coach, great pedigree of people in that program. Tony, we're coming out traveling I don't know how many miles and going through how many time zones to finish the season off here with a bunch of seniors who've accomplished and pushed quite a bit for at least this season and made a huge impact, and got a whole new coaching staff who's setting the tone this year as well. So what do you think as far as the prediction for this game against Stanford?
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a tough one, Josh, because it's a tough one for me to predict because, I to be honest with you, I think I was a little bit surprised and disappointed by the way we showed up against Miami. But, like I said, we still have a lot to play for. I think not being beat by Stanford 3 years in a row should play a factor in the way we come out and play this football game. And also with everything that we have left on the table to play for. We have everything to play for. A lot of good things could happen for us if we finish strong. So I'm going to say that Notre Dame is going to come back out. We're going to reignite ourselves, start playing the type of football that we played pretty much the whole season. The offensive line dominating. Josh Adams is back, healthy, running the football. We're going to score in the 30s, high 30s. I say we beat Stanford 38-25.
All right. So you got the Irish winning by 13 there, by almost 2 touchdowns, 38-25 with the win. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm somewhat similar. I have the Irish winning as well by 10, 30-20. And so I think they'll get back in the 30s there, and the defense will start getting back to their form with playing a very tough offense in Stanford. So I think that will happen for sure. So that's those are 2 good predictions there. Hopefully they both fall through somehow, and they do what they need to do to get that win. So I do want to throw out a fun fact here, Tony. So I went on Notre Dame's football website, on their school website, and went on under the football tab, and I found a really interesting statistic for a fun fact, and it kind of goes back to what we talked about before. So Quentin Wilson, like I mentioned before, is an Outland Trophy finalist for this year. So
Yes.
he's played 744 snaps, okay, this season without allowing a single sack or QB hit. 744. That's
impressive. That's impressive, and he's played against some good competition. I'm sure the NFL scouts are looking at that, and I'm pretty sure that Quentin will be playing on Sundays come this time next year. But that's impressive what he's done. It's impressive what that line's done all year. We've been pretty much dominating all year long as an offensive line.
Yeah, they have, and I'm just very excited to see these guys complete the season strong, and that offensive line be that staple for that offense to be able to get things rolling here starting tomorrow with Stanford. So, any final comments or anything you want to add to that, Tony, as far as the Irish this week or anything in general?
No, I probably going to sound like a tape recorder, but I just, like I said, I don't want to lose to Stanford 3 years in a row, and we shouldn't. Our Notre Dame, our team shouldn't want to lose to Stanford 3 years in a row, and let that become a tradition of Stanford beating Notre Dame. We don't need that. We don't want that. Let's not let that happen. And there's still a lot to play for. There's still a ton to play for. We just need to handle our business, play good football, good physical football, Notre Dame football, and win this next game against Stanford, get some rest, and take it from there.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with all that. And, yeah, you may sound like a tape recorder here and there, but it's true, Tony. It's 100% true. Do what they need to do, which has been the same thing the whole season, and I don't think it's a secret, but play physical, play that Notre Dame football that they know they can play, and send these seniors off the right way. And who knows what will happen with that, with all these games going on and how these championship conference games are going to happen. And so who knows? We may be talking here in a few weeks about a college football playoff game. So. Oh,
yeah, a very good possibility if we just take care of our business.
That's right. So, well, folks, that's our show for this week for Irish Football Weekly. Don't forget to check out our website, which I did not mention earlier, but it is thegruelingtruth.net, which has tons of shows, not only ours, but we have tons of other sports with different people on there talking tons of different sporting shows. So check them out. We are on Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Music, iTunes. We even have an app now, the Grueling Truth Sports Network, so you can subscribe to that, get that app, and listen to our shows anytime you like. We're also on iHeartRadio, so we're on such a big piece of media throughout anywhere, essentially. So that's where you can find us. You can also find us on Facebook. Tony and I both have Facebook pages. We also have a Facebook page for our show, Irish Football Weekly, and so you can like and follow us there, talk some Irish football. I'm also on Twitter at CoachJB4, so tons of different places to find us, talk to us. Don't creep us out, though, because we don't want any of those guys coming on there and trying to get us there with being a different fan of a different team. I saw tons of Miami fans in Facebook groups a few weeks back.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
I was a little upset, to say the least. I can't really.
I had some messages, and I got some messages in Messenger from some guys from Miami that I had to block.
Oh man, that's when you know, man, college football is real, and so.
Oh yeah, it gets personal.
It does. So anyway, you can find us on those social media accounts as well. So that's a wrap for our show for this week. For my co-host Tony Hunter, this is Josh Benjamin signing off for Irish Football Weekly. Go Irish! Peace.
Go Irish!